I am so upset. I'm devastated. Where was George Lopez in this movie? I was looking for him, the big screen-looking face man. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Only in 2020 are we getting a sequel to Sharkboy and Lavagirl on Netflix Christmas morning. My goodness, what a weird year it has been. But hey, today we are talking We Can Be Heroes, just dropped on Netflix. I want to say thank you to Netflix for providing me this screener. And oh my goodness, I need your thoughts down below. It's going to be interesting. So you have to know what you're going into. I think we all knew that, right? Going into this film, Robert Rodriguez, he has provided us with so many of these movies specifically and intended for kids over the years. See, I grew up with Spy Kids. I was a massive Spy Kids fan. And you know what? Even though I can look back at Sharkboy and Lavagirl today and say, probably isn't the best movie, I still have this sense and this feel of nostalgia for it when I think back of those moments as a kid, something like Spy Kids 3D. It's not a good movie, but I think about it, I'm like, those moments, man, the shoehorn 3D, it's ridiculous, right? But Rodriguez kind of has this sensibility and this style about them that you come to expect with a film like this. Now, did I want him to maybe update that and bring us a movie that didn't feel like it's from the early 2000s? Sure. But at least he knows what he's doing with these films. So, when alien invaders kidnap Earth's heroes, their children must team up to learn to work together if they want to save their parents and the world. I am of two minds on this movie, right? So this is the first time I've done this all year. I actually had to restart the film. I got about 25 minutes in, and I think my mentality wasn't what it should have been the first time around. Because for some reason, in my mind, and it's so weird when you go back to these movies that you loved as a kid, you remember just feeling and embracing these moments, and then maybe you go back and revisit as an adult, and they don't work as well. So in my mind, I'm like, Sharkboy and Lavagirl, let's go! And then the movie starts, we get into the story. You know, we're not getting a lot of Sharkboy and Lavagirl. I don't think Sharkboy actually has a line of dialogue in this film, and not a lot of action between the two. It's much more focused on some of the other heroes played by Boyd Holbrook and Pedro Pascal, who are both just hamming it up, having a great time in this film. But I needed to readjust my brain and go in it with the mentality of this is a movie purely, specifically for kids. And the level of cheese. Some people are going to tell you Wonder Woman 1984 is a bit cheesier compared to the first, and that's an accurate assessment. But then you're going to watch this movie, and you're going to say, that was nothing. It's so cheesy at times. But again, if you're watching this movie, if you're watching this review, you're probably thinking, Austin, I'm an adult, right? And unless you're a Sharkboy and Lavagirl fan, then you're going to watch this movie and be like, all right, give me some Sharkboy and Lavagirl. I don't care about the rest of the movie. Give me Sharkboy and Lavagirl. Taylor Lautner's not here? Okay, well, we got the other Taylor, so at least she's back. But most likely you're watching this because you have kids, because you have a family, because you want this kind of heartwarming, family-centric film. So once I restarted the movie and I said, you're being too harsh on this because, you know, in my head I'm complaining. I'm like, it's not very well made. The graphics aren't very good. They weren't updated to modern day. It's so cheesy. You can tell the cast is having a great time. They're hamming it up. But there has to be this level of willingness to kind of accept what kind of movie this is. It kind of feels like one of those TV movies you used to see for kids way back in the day. Maybe something you see like a little short on PBS, but they're expanding it and making it more grand. They do shoehorn some things in there for adults. There are actually a couple of political jokes in this movie that I'm just like, why you gotta throw this in here? It's a movie made for kids, but at least that gives the adults something to say, I
understood that reference.
But that's the thing. You've got to be willing to embrace that with this movie because it is much more focused on the kids, and that's what I really love about this film. If there's one thing I'm going to take home with me, I am at home. If there's one thing that I'm going to take with me at the end of the day, it is the idea that the kids can be the superheroes and they are the ones that kind of control their own destinies in a way. And something as simple as, taking even certain disabilities of these kids and turning it into a superpower. I mean, Robert Rodriguez, that's kind of a beautiful thing you're doing, man. It really is. And, if you know the backstory from the Sharkboy and Lavagirl, like, his kids helped him create that film, and it is really intended on that audience. and that audience alone. Now, as adults, we're going to watch and be like, I know The Mandalorian. He's in this movie. And I watched Sharkboy and Lavagirl growing up, and you're going to see that short little cameo. And I'll tell you what, it did give me a sense of joy seeing them back on screen. But everything around that is silly. It is, right? I enjoyed the differential of the superpowers within the kids. You have kids who can put time in reverse and move it forward. You have one kid, his name is Slow-Mo, and he just does everything really slow and runs the entire time. And of course, Sharkboy and Lavagirl's daughter, and all of these kids, they're the children of these superheroes who get captured and essentially are defeated. So it's up to them to, again, save the day, but they have to come together as a team. They have to train. Now, lots of montages, lots of really silly moments that, I just needed more from. If I'm actually criticizing this movie, it is not a good film, right? I needed the build-up. I needed to understand who a lot of these kids were, and most of them just don't get the character development needed for us to care. And then I was just kind of worn out at the end of the day by the rehashed plot and, the fact that they didn't add too much and kind of the silly jokes. And there's one moment in particular where one of our kids turns into a toaster, and, they kind of use a special effect where his body disappears and the toaster appears, but you're supposed to kind of keep continuity there. So when they do that cut, all of the kids' faces are looking in different spots when they cut, so it just looks cheap. It kind of looks like something I would do in high school for a student film. So, maybe they could have tried a bit harder there. And then the CGI, that hardcore 3D effect without it being 3D, it doesn't look good. I think that's the intention here. You can use that excuse for all of these things, whether it's the over-the-top hammy performances, the fact that the movie itself is trying to do a certain thing, and I don't know if it captured me specifically, but again, I'm not who this is supposed to be for. I'm not the intended audience. That's just the way it goes. So I had to readjust and go back in with that mentality. And I'm like, what if my younger cousins were watching this movie? Or what if one day my wife and I have kids and we need something to throw on for them that they can kind of be inspired by? I could possibly throw this movie on. I could. Because it is fun enough. It is wacky enough. It is zany enough. And Rodriguez kind of embraces that. So as much as I want to sit here and criticize it and judge it and say, well, maybe kids, they're used to the Avengers, or maybe they're used to, Batman being on screen. And then you come to this, it's just like, wow. But again, this movie is all about the kids being the heroes, learning and embracing and coming together as a team. So I'm like, it's cheesy, it's silly, but it's kind of my fault at the main beginning for being so harsh on it, because the ending, there's a little twist in there. And I'm just like, well, I don't know if that really, I see what they were going for. I see it. But I don't know if that necessarily worked. And there are some moments, right? There's one Chariots of Fire moment, the song, the slow motion song. I don't know if kids would even pick up on that reference. Maybe that was more for adults. And then you have a song with lyrics, probably guess what it's going to be, that did come across as, okay, this is kind of inspiring. I appreciate what they're doing here. And then it just kind of cuts off and goes to the next scene, which is a completely different tone. And it just felt kind of jarring. And then that's over. And then the movie kind of ends again. There are like 3 different endings. So, I could sit here and criticize this movie all day. I could go into each specific moment of dialogue and say, well, that's not very good writing. Sometimes the performances were over the top. I did appreciate what some of these kids were doing here. They really embrace it, right? And everyone does genuinely look like they're having a great time making We Can Be Heroes. And just the joy, that nostalgic-only joy to see Sharkboy and Lavagirl back on screen. Okay. All right, I can respect that. I like the fact that you said it in this universe. Again, I missed George Lopez. Listen, We Can Be Heroes. You know exactly what you're getting with this movie. You know exactly what you're getting. And on a quality level, it's been a while since I've watched some of the other ones. It probably is better than something like Sharkboy and Lavagirl. On a quality level, I still think Spy Kids has something special about it. The first 2 movies, probably. But We Can Be Heroes is everything you all anticipate and expect. If you have families, if you have younger kids, this film is built for them, absolutely. So tell them to check it out on Netflix. As for me, We Can Be Heroes may be a bit much for adults, but kids will appreciate the moments and messages. Part of my brain wants to give it like around a 6 or a 7 for that target audience. The more critical aspect of my brain wants to go like a 3 or a 4, just because the way that it's put together. So I'm going to go right down the middle with my score, a 5 out of 10 at 50%. But again, you have to know who you are And whether this movie is going to appeal to you or not, it's a tougher movie to judge, but again, we can be heroes. It gave me Sharkboy and Lavagirl back on screen one more time, even though the focus was definitely on this team of kids, and I liked that message. I appreciated it. I really did. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Is this the movie you're watching on Christmas Day? We have Wonder Woman and Soul and News of the World and Promising Young Woman. There's a lot of stuff this weekend. Which one are you checking out? I'll see you soon.